let's talk about our next goal for the account, which will be obtaining the fire cape. And here on the screen I have made a checklist for what I think I will need in order to take on that challenge. And I think that at this point in the account, working towards a fire cape is the perfect goal, as it will take us through a variety of skills and quests and different items that we will need in order to progress the account. So let's get the first preparations on the way as we start working towards this fire cape goal. In blind man mode I will be trying to obtain the Old School Runescape quest cape while playing in almost complete blindness. But you will be able to follow along from above and see everything that happens all around me, while this is what my perspective will look like. So welcome to blind man mode. And while training some agility, I got this lamp that you can see in my inventory, and earlier I used them all on prayer, as prayer training was very difficult in free to play, but now that I am in members content I can train prayer in some way better methods, and instead I will be wanting to use these lamps on herb lore, as one of the main ways of obtaining herbs on an Iron Man is through farming. And honestly, doing farm runs on a blind account sounds very miserable, as it basically just means running all around the map, which takes me 3 times longer than a normal account. So in order to get some more value out of my lamps, I want to see how many herb lore XP I can get through questing, as the faster I get a high herb lore level, the faster I can start using both lamp from Achievement Diary, which all have a level requirement, but also start getting way more XP from each random event lamp. So something that you might already have guessed, we will be starting out with Jungle Potion. And as you can see right now on the screen above the inventory, I will be trying using a timer for each quest, which shows how long I have spent on the current quest that I'm doing. I think that will be very interesting and very fun for both you and for me, because sometimes I say that I spend a lot of time on some part of a quest, but I don't show all the footage. And actually I have no idea how long that very long time is, so now we will all be able to see exactly how long each part of a quest takes me. With that being said, the timer that I tried using for Jungle Potion was the Windows timer app, which suddenly stopped working sometimes. So if the timer stops, that's why. Afterwards I used the timer in OBS, which works to perfection. So after Jungle Potion the timer will be working just fine, and let's start hopping to me finding these herbs, which really wasn't as easy as you might think, as I had completely forgotten where all the herbs were. I did remember that there was one in the cave, so I started out by searching in the cave, although it wasn't the herb that I was searching for at this moment. And this is where I did get the OBS timer on, so from now on the timer will be accurate for the rest of this quest. And this second herb was most definitely the most difficult one to find, although I was very close, but I had been told that it could be found to the east of the village, so obviously I went to the east, and in reality it is found northeast, as it is found near the coast, so that's why it took me so long to find. And on a normal account this might not have mattered much, as it was very obvious that there were some weird palms next to the coast, but since I'm playing blindly I can't see that that's very obvious, so please give me accurate information, Old School Runescape. But as you can see here, 10 minutes later, and after searching the entire eastern part of the jungle, I finally found the part of the shoreline where the palms are located, and I did find the second herb. And for the third herb, all I had been told was that I needed to look where the ground had been burned. And once again, on a normal account that might have been very helpful, but since I am playing blindly and the ground everywhere is pretty much just black, it's very difficult to find out where the ground has been burned. Luckily, while walking around the village, I did get a right click on the burnt ground just outside of the village, as I figured that a bonfire would probably be close to the village. So that's 3 herbs down and only 2 to go, and I do know that one of the last herbs is in the cave. And luckily the 4th herb was very easy to find as well, as I did get a very good hint from Old School Runescape, thank you very much, as they told me that it was found in a mine, and I did remember more or less where the mine could be found. So that meant that the only herb that I needed to find was the one in the cave, which I did remember exactly where it was, so that wasn't too difficult either. So that marks the end of Jungle Potion, which took me more or less 42 minutes, and it gave me 775 herb lore XP, which gave me a herb lore level of 9. And 42 minutes might not sound like a lot, but I can promise you that 10 minutes is a very long time when you are lost in the jungle, just clicking around hoping that you might find the herb that you're looking for, but you don't know exactly where it is. So let's get right on to the next quest, which will be Recruitment Drive, and I will have to use the lamp already before starting it, as I'm not allowed to bring any items into the minigame. And let me tell you just now that this quest did end up causing me a lot of trouble as well. And after having made my way to Feathered Park, it was time to get into the puzzle part of the quest. Here you get faced with one of 7 different puzzle rooms and you need to complete 5 in a row in order to complete the quest, and you can't get the same puzzle twice. And funnily enough, the rooms that ended up causing me the biggest problems didn't have anything to do with me playing without being able to see anything, but with having to do with me trying to play without using guides, as I had no idea how to complete the puzzles. As for example, in the first room that I got here, I need to find a 4-letter password, which is based on a poem that I get by the man in the room. And every time that I got the puzzle wrong, I did get kicked out of the room and I had to try again. And every time that I wanted to try again, I got the same puzzle room where I had to find the 4-letter password. So let me just show you some of my different tries while I'm trying to figure out exactly how this room works, and you will be able to see the timer going slowly upwards. And after having tried and failed this first room 5 times, I wanted to enter the puzzle once again, and I actually got sent to a different room where I had to test my patience. And being so excited at finally being in another room, I just started clicking around and I clicked on the hourglass and therefore I failed the test. And when I entered again, I got sent back to the first puzzle room where I had to guess how the poem worked. But I guess that it was very fair that he failed me in that test of patience. But now, having spent almost the entire 16 minutes that you see on the screen in this puzzle room, I finally found out the solution, that I had to take the first 4 letters of each sentence, and there I would get the password, and therefore the password would change every time, as it was a different poem every time. And in the next room I had to open up 2 doors using a lot of different objects and potions in the room, and this was without a doubt the most difficult puzzle for me. And only remembering that I needed to blow up the spade and put the handle into the lock, I then used all of the potions that I had available on the spade, and I could still not get through the first door, so I figured that I would have to leave, as I had already spent all of the potions and I would definitely need them for something later. And after once again getting the poem room, I quickly made my way to the second room, as I now knew how to complete that room. And in the second room I got the room where I had to remember some statues. And normally that would be a very difficult room, as I wouldn't be able to see anything, but luckily for some reason in this dungeon everything is white, which makes it actually possible to see something once in a while. But not being prepared, all that I managed to figure out was that the statue missing was one of the bronze ones, but I didn't have time to look at all the weapons and therefore I didn't know which one exact, so I had to guess, and unfortunately I made the wrong guess. And after having to reset once again, as I got the potion once again, I did manage to get very lucky and get 3 rooms that I was able to do in a row. With the first one being the poem room, then the second one being the memory room, where this time I was prepared and I managed to figure out which statue was missing in time, and the third one being a very easy room where I just had to fight against some knight without using any weapons. And once again I tried my hardest to figure out exactly how to complete this room, but since I don't have that much chemistry knowledge, I just couldn't figure out which vials I needed to use for which purpose. And I figured that at this point it would be pretty much impossible for me to ever do this room. So after once again having spent up all the potions, I had to leave and hope that I just could avoid this room, as then I probably could do all of the other rooms. And after having to leave on the potion room on the third room once again, I finally had a very nice run. As first I got the patience room where I just had to do nothing, then I got the fighting room where I only had to defeat something way lower combat level than me. Then I got a room where I needed to move a chicken, a bag of grain and a fox to the other side of a bridge, which wasn't that difficult either. I just had to sit down and take a little bit of time to think before making my moves, and it turned out to be quite easy as well. And once again I got the memory room, which wasn't that difficult either if I just moved quickly. And then unluckily on the 5th and last room I got the potion room once again. And here I had to decide if I wanted to look up the solution online or if I wanted to start over and keep trying until I managed to dodge this room. And I gave up and I figured that I would just look up the solution online, as it really didn't have anything to do with me playing in darkness. So Recruitment Drive did turn out to be the first quest where I had to look something up on the wiki during the quest, but that does mark the end of Recruitment Drive, with the reward of 1 quest point, 1000 prayer XP, 1000 herblore XP, 1000 agility XP and 3000 coins, and that does give me a herblore level of 14, so we are getting up there very quickly. And this quest only taking a little bit longer than the jungle potion quest really does show how much time I spent running around blindly without having no idea where I need to go. And while looking at the Wiki Quest Experience guide list, I can already feel me being dragged into one of these classic old school RuneScape things where you want to do one thing, but in order to do that you need to do 3 more things. So I wanted to do Digsite as it does reward Herblore XP. In order to do Digsite I will need a thieving level of 25, so I figured that I could train it, but I would rather just do some quests that give thieving XP, as our goal for the entire account is to get the quest cape, so I might as well just start knocking out some of the quests. So once again, looking at the Wiki Quest Experience reward page, I realized that Hazeel Cult would be the perfect quest to start getting some easy thieving XP. But the entire quest takes place near ardougne and I don't have any easy way to get to Ardi right now. So in order to unlock the Ardi teleport, which I only need 1 more magic level to use, I also need to do Plague City. So here we are with all the needed quest items in order to start Plague City. And here I am in West Ardi for the first time on the account, where I was asked to find a man named Jethric. And this is a good example of how some of these things can be so damn difficult on this account, as I actually had no idea where he was. On a normal account he wouldn't be very hard to find, as he is very obviously different from all of the other NPCs that walk around West Ardi, but since I don't remember where he is found, it is very difficult as I have to walk around the entire city until I luckily stumble into him at some point. But all in all, not a very eventful quest, so here we are with the quest reward, which is 2425 mining XP, 1 quest point, and the important ardougne teleport scroll, which allows me to use the ardougne teleport once I get 1 more magic level. And with Plague City done, it was time to start Hazeel's cult as explained, and this quest did actually end up causing me a lot of unforeseen difficulties. So let's go ahead and skip to the interesting parts. So after having sided with the evil side in the quest and having failed to kill Hazeel in his mansion with some poison, this is where the difficult part really began, as I would need to take a raft underground to the headquarters of the evil people, and in order to do that I would have to find and turn 5 valves. And this is the really difficult part, as I had to find the 5 valves and I had no idea exactly where they were located. And apart from that, I would need to find out which one was most western, which one was second most western, and so forth for all 5, as I would need to know their exact location compared to the others in order to figure out which valve I needed to turn in which direction. And after having been running around for a while blindly trying to figure out how many valves I could find and hoping for the best, I figured that I would probably need a more structured plan. So here is an illustration that I made after finishing the quest of the plan that I came up with, where I would start from the left and I would move south, go a little bit east, move north, a little bit east, move south. Because then every time that I found one of the valves, I would know if it was further east or further west compared to the other valves that I found. And here is some footage of me using this strategy to finding a valve, and at this time this was the 3rd valve that I had found, and I therefore knew that this was the most eastern of the 3 that I had found. And afterwards I kept using the strategy to go even further east, although afterwards I can see on the map that there was no more valves further east, but I had to use this strategy for a large area to be sure that I hadn't missed any valves. So as mentioned, at this point I had found the 3 valves marked here with a red circle, and I was fairly certain about their location so that I could find them again later on. The only problem was that I knew that there were 5, so I still needed to find 2 more and I had no idea where the last 2 could be found. And as you can probably see by the timer, this was a lot later, as I had tried using the strategy once more to make sure that I haven't missed anything, but I figured that I would try something new, so this time I tried to hug the wall to the zoo at the northern part of the area, in hopes that there was some valve up there, and I got rewarded for my efforts as I found the 4th valve as well. And all that I needed to do now was to find the last valve, which was at the other side of the river, so no matter how long I would be using my strategy in this area, I would never find this valve. But as I had done earlier with the zoo wall, I figured that I would hug the river and look at both sides of the river in hope that the valve could be found there. And sure enough, in the end I ended up finding the last valve, and I had a pretty good idea of which one was the most western and so forth, so now all I needed to do was to turn them all and I would be able to take the raft down into the hideout. And having taken a well-deserved break after finding the 5 valves, I forgot to turn on the timer once again, so that is why the timer is stuck at the time when I finally found the 5th valve. And here you can see the clip of me turning all 5 valves, and I am actually very proud about how well I managed to get to know this area of the map, and how fast I could locate all 5 valves in the right order even, and manage to turn them in the right direction to get back to the raft. And it does feel very rewarding realizing how much better I get at navigating a certain area in the darkness after having spent 40 minutes walking around the same little area, although it might be a very weird and very useless skill for a normal account. And after boarding the raft, I had realized that I hadn't turned the timer back on, and I started it again from where I left off. So the 55 minutes that you see here on screen isn't that accurate, maybe 5 minutes long or something like that. So this is the longest quest so far since we have started timing the quests. And that marks the end of Hazeel's cult with 1 quest point, 1500 thieving XP and 2000 coins, and that puts me at level 11 thieving. So we only need 14 levels more before we can start the Digsite. And another quest that gives thieving XP is Biohazard that we can complete now that we have completed Plague City as well. And I did get confused and go to the wrong location to start the quest, but I will count that on the timer as well as part of Biohazard, as I was looking for where the quest could be started at least. And once again a fairly uneventful quest that just took a lot longer since I am playing blindly and ended up taking me a little bit over 40 minutes, which seems to be a theme in these kinds of quests. And with the reward of 3 quest points, which puts us at 60 quest points, which is very nice, and 1250 thieving XP, that puts us at a level of 16 thieving and 9 levels away from being able to start Digsite and getting back to training some Herblore. And the next quest that we will be doing will be Fight Arena, which also gives some nice thieving XP and a lot of attack XP. So let's just skip to the interesting part when we will start fighting. And here we are ready to embark on the 4 fights that we need to complete in this quest, and I have brought Mage, so this quest probably won't be that difficult, as all that I need to do is find the safe spot and kill all the monsters without them being able to hit me back. And sure enough, none of the fights turned out to be very difficult, as you could probably gather from the clip shown on the screen. And in a record time for this video of 28 minutes, we did manage to complete Fight Arena, which gives 2 quest points, 12,000 attack XP and 2175 thieving XP and 1000 coins, which puts our thieving level at 20, and now I only need 5 more levels before I'm able to start the Digsite. And looking at the wiki, there aren't any quests left that give easy thieving XP that I have the requirements for right now, and I would rather not have to start completing other quests or getting other skill requirements in order to complete a quest just to get thieving XP. So the last 5 thieving levels I will be getting from thieving from cake stalls, which after I found the safe spot turned out to be very easy on a blind account as well. So I'll see you back at the Digsite once I have 25 thieving. And the Fight Arena was an example of a quest that is very easy to do blindly, as well as everything that I had to do was in the same area, so I don't have to run around all over the map trying to locate things. The Digsite is an example of the opposite, where I have to keep running around and all the time I have to look for NPCs and items. And apart from that, I didn't remember the Digsite quest that well, as I figured that I could just take the exam without doing anything else, and I got all of the questions wrong, obviously, as you need to find the students in order for the right answers to appear. So I had to go to the Digsite and try and find the 3 students, which pretty much just meant going around all over the Digsite, moving the mouse around the entire screen, hoping to see one of the students in my crosshair. And after a long time of walking around with my nose glued to the monitor, trying to see if I could see something move that might be a student, and finally finishing all the 3 student tasks, 30 minutes had passed and I was ready to take my first exam. And a little while later, after finding the 3 students once again, I was ready to take my second exam as well. And really making me question if this really was a necessary part of the quest, that I had to go back and find the students every single time that I wanted to take the exam. I was finally ready to take the 3rd exam. And this quest is a good example of a quest that isn't really difficult to do, but is very, very, very annoying to do blindly, as at this point 40 minutes had passed. And really nothing happened in the quest at all, just me walking back and forth and talking to NPCs when I finally managed to locate them. And here, while we are searching for something rare to take back to the expert at the exam center, we are very close to reach an hour of playtime during this quest. And I really am very happy that I had the idea of putting the timer on the screen, as it is very interesting for me as well to follow along and see exactly how long the quest takes. And we can start guessing at which quest will take the longest, and when I start a difficult quest we can see if it will beat the record, which for now is Digsite, as the longest quest that I have done since I started recording the time. And a good while later, after having entered the wrong shafts a few times, I did finally manage to get the potion that I needed to blow up some rocks, and I could enter the last room where I needed to find a stone tablet to take back to the Digsite in order to finish up the quest. And after having walked around the room for a very long time, as I just couldn't find the tablet as it was somewhere on the ground, but it's very difficult when I don't see anything, I did manage to find it and take it back to the Digsite, and that is the Digsite completed. And at an hour and 28 minutes, that is by far the longest quest that we have done so far since we started recording the time, so that is definitely the record for now. Very nice quest reward with 2 quest points, 15,000 mining XP and 2,000 herb law XP and 2 gold bars, which might be handy at some time as well. And it did give me a level of 41 mining and level 19 herb law, which means that we will be getting a lot more XP per lamp now. While not questing, I have been training a lot of agility on the side, and here we got level 60 agility, which is where we will be stopping for now, as now we can do the CS Village course, and there I will need an achievement diary in order to get the optimal amount of marks of grace. Which means that I will be moving on from agility as the skill that I do train in the background when I'm not questing, and I will be moving on to hunter, so we started out doing the museum, which gives some nice hunter XP and puts me at both level 9 hunter and level 9 slayer, which might come in handy at some point as well. And at this point you might be asking yourself, but why hunter? And looking at the jet gear optimal setup that I put on the screen here that I made earlier, I do have an amulet of glory, and there are 2 ways of obtaining that amulet of glory, either through dragon implings or through training crafting. And the smartest thing would definitely be to start training crafting, but if there is one thing that I'm not, it is smart, so we will definitely be going with the challenging route in hunter. And the main reason for choosing to go this route is that it sounds a lot more fun, to be honest. Training crafting on a blind account will pretty much be like training crafting on a normal account. But Hunter will be very difficult, and especially Pyro will be very difficult to do blindly. So since we are playing in a very different way, let's do something different as well instead of just taking the easy route. And to be completely honest with you, I'm actually not sure that we can get the Amulet of Glory. It will be very difficult to get a Dragon Impling, as it is very difficult to get them on a normal account. I promise you that we will at least catch 1 Dragon Impling. I might not be able to get enough to get the Amulet of Glory, but we won't stop until we get 1. If we can get the Amulet of Glory from a Dragon Impling, we have the option to get an Amulet of Power from the Magpie Implings, which we will probably be catching a lot of on the way, trying to force spawn the Dragon Implings. So why don't we just go directly into some Hunter training? I wanted to try out the tracking as the first thing, as it is listed on the wiki as the fastest active XP method at my level. But here on the screen you can see me trying it out for the first time, and you can probably tell that it isn't that fast playing blindly. I couldn't see the track, so it was pretty much just guessing which bush or which plant the Kebbit might have run past, and then go searching every single plant that I could find, hoping for the best. And after having tried out this method for 10 minutes, I had managed to catch exactly 3 Kebbits, each one giving me 49 XP, so 150 XP more or less in 10 minutes. That doesn't sound very good. So I went on to the other training method available to me, which is catching birds, which turned out to be very easy, as I just had to find out where the birds were, place the trap and stand AFK next to the trap and wait for a bird to go into the trap, and hopefully I would catch it. And after catching a lot of birds, I did manage to reach level 30 hunter, and I made my way into Mortania in order to catch some salamanders. Which isn't that difficult either, I just needed to find out exactly where I could place my 2 traps that I had available at the moment, and then trying to keep track of exactly where the traps are located. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and if you liked the video, please think about liking and subscribing. In the next video we will be trying to do our very first blind barrows run, so we'll see how that will go. And I will be back with the next video very soon.